So to start us off, what first round matches tickle your fancy, Pilch?
Well, I've got a few written down here. I'll start it off. Sayboth Wild versus Daniel Evans. We saw a bit of Sayboth Wild. I think he's 18 years old and he's got a lot of potential. So I mean, hopefully he comes and plays well. He might not be up to it, but if he does, then that'll be a good match because Evans is obviously a good player, and then it'll be interesting to see if our man Sayboth can put on a clinic or not.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. That's one of the ones I've got circled down here. I think it'll be interesting to see whether he's just a clay court specialist or he's got everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Because Dan Evans, although he's a pretty good player, he's seeded 23. Like he's not invincible. So like Sayboth Wild could catch him if he's on his game. That bottom half of the draw.
No, you go.
That bottom quarter of the draw, there's a lot of spicy games in there. I don't want to get into some of the ones that could be in like round 2 and round 3 just yet, but there's some spicy ones in there. Brownie, what's another one you're keen for?
The first one that I noticed when quickly scanning, and I think the clear, exciting, obvious one is Kevin Anderson against Alexander Zverev. Because Anderson's just coming back from injury. I think he hasn't really played much in the last couple of years, really. But he's played. Who did he beat? He played some good matches.
I looked at this before. He
Cincinnati.
beat decent.
Who did he beat?
Yeah,
I don't remember. I know that he was in form.
It's all good
for the one tournament that's been on, but he's obviously been a Grand Slam finalist. So yeah, that'll be a big one to watch out for.
He beat Edmund, and then to be fair, he did get smacked by Tsitsipas, but second match back from 6 months off. Or something,
so that one just was stuck out to me straight away, and one that also interested me just because of some history is Grigor Dimitrov and Tommy Paul.
I got that one.
Tommy Paul beat Grigor Dimitrov in the 5th set tiebreak in the second round of the Australian Open, which is one of the last tournaments that were played, to be honest. So that'll be interesting to see what will happen there. And then, funnily enough, the winner will probably play Djokovic, which is what happened in the Australian Open as well.
I saw that, and I was like, what are the chances? But I think Tommy Paul lost to someone pretty average during the week, but we'll see how he goes.
Dimitrov's a clear favourite, but just because of what happened at the Australian
Open, it's interesting
to see.
I don't think Dimitrov can be a confident favourite in many matches at this point of his career. He's a bit all over the joint. On the men's side of things, the one that stood out to me, maybe not as one to watch, but just for the result, it would be Opelka versus Goffin.
Yeah, I had that as well.
Goffin's coming in as the 7th seed, but I genuinely think Opelka should probably be the odds-on favourite going on into this. I did a little bit of research on this matchup. I only did it for this one, and then I realised I can't do 30 matches research, so I'll just make most of what I've done here. So they've only played each other twice in their careers. Opelka's young. He's only 22, so they haven't had too much intersection yet, but it's 1-1 so far. Opelka won a 3-setter 6-7, 7-6, 7-5 last year. And then in the earliest meeting in Oz Open 2017, Goffin won in 5 sets, 6-4, 4-6, 6-2, 4-6, 6-4. So they're very, not evenly matched in terms of play style, but in terms of their skill level, they're very similar level at the moment, even though Goffin is ranked 7 or seed 7. But more interesting in this one, just the contrasting styles. Opelka, obviously, to tennis fans listening, he's almost 7 foot or something. No, he's probably not 7 foot. That's probably a bit of May on
close.
But he's not the Big Show or anything. But he is massive. He hits bombs down the tee. Whereas Goffin, he's your standard European grind. Well, not grinder, but he's very small, very classy, very elegant. So it'll be interesting to see how that matches up. And especially, I think this suits Opelka only recently coming back from lockdown because, Goffin might be a bit off form where you could have been serving all the way through lockdown. So Opelka will have a lot of free points where Goffin's points that he would be winning normally might be a lot harder for him to fight for. So yeah, and Opelka, he played pretty well this week. He made the quarters of Cincinnati, and then he retired against Tsitsipas, but it was on serve in the first 6-5. So this week he beat Berrettini, he beat Schwartzman, and obviously he beat Cameron Norrie, but that's not really one to brag about. And then Goffin, he lost to Struff in 3 sets, but he beat Borna Koric, so he's not in the worst form of his life either. So yeah, that'll be pretty interesting, and that would not shock me at all if Opelka gets up there, and then all of a sudden that really opens up that section of the draw. Because there's usually one top 10 who loses early, and I think this year it could be Goffin. But yeah, Pilch, any other first rounders that stood out for you?
Yeah, I'll throw out Murray v Nishioka. I know neither are seeded, but anything involving Andy Murray, personally, I'll be very excited for. But I think most of the tennis fan base will be as well. And Nishioka's no pushover. Like he can do business from the baseline. So I think that'll be a good game as well. And good to see where Murray's at.
Yeah, once again, another match in that bottom section of the draw. It's so exciting, that one. We'll get to some of the future potential matchups in the second, third, and fourth rounds later on. But Brownie, any others that you want to point out? One that
stood out to me was Bautista Agut against Tennys Sandgren. Sandgren was really good form at the Australian Open, made the quarters, and also beat, I'm just looking here, he beat Auger-Aliassime in Cincinnati this week and made the third round and lost to Novak, which is like not fair enough. So, and Bautista Agut's also in good form. I mean, he's in the semi-finals there in Cincinnati, so he's obviously the favourite going in and in good form. But Tennys Sandgren, like 2020 has been a good year for him so far, and he's can pull out some surprises. He's always someone in a Grand Slam to watch out for. Can provide some upsets. It could be a straight sets, clearing easy encounter depending on how Sandgren plays. But Sandgren brings it. Who knows what could happen?
Yeah, that's another one I highlighted as well. Sandgren seems to have the magic stuff for the Grand Slams, as you said. What do you think they're going to do with Cincinnati? Because they didn't play today. Well, yesterday for United States. Well, this is Saturday's episode, so this is all confusing. But they didn't play one of the days.
Yeah.
Do you think they're just going to try and push through it tonight and tomorrow, or do you reckon there's a genuine chance that they just call off the semis and final, and then they just skip straight to the US Open? Because you wouldn't think they would want people playing like the day before the US Open.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not
especially when it's like Novak.
Yeah,
it's not like there's myths running around like this.
The positive, the benefits that they have is that they're there. They're in New York at the moment. They're not actually in Cincinnati. So even if they want to get this tournament done, they can easily swap days around and whatever, because there's no travel involved for everyone. I assume everyone's quarantining somewhere. I'm not sure, but since everyone's already there who's playing, I assume they can probably be pretty flexible about it.
Yeah, and who knows, they might like ask the players what they want. They might be happy to they can just have the matches as warm-ups.
Yeah, they can always just put the 4 players that are left in the draw matches later, first round matches later or something.
Yeah, that's true. Now there's so many to choose from. This is tough. Next up, I'm gonna go. Oh, this is tough. I'll go Corey Goff in the women's side of things. Corey Goff and Sevastova. Sevastova is the seed, but I think Corey Goff would be the pretty firm favourite. I'd say she's in pretty good form. I think she made the semis of the Lexington WTA tournament last week, and obviously the last 12 months before lockdown, she was awesome as well. So her rankings probably doesn't show how good she is. She's probably like the level of a top 20 player at this point in her career already.
Yeah.
So that'll be a pretty interesting one, and I will maybe dive into this a little bit more. But then the winner of that match plays the winner of Marta Kustyuk and Daria Kasatkina, who, well, they were both wonder kids in their own right and have kind of fallen away a little bit in the last 12 months, but they are still both very young.
So Kostyuk is still 16.
Legit. But so that's another interesting one. Pilch, are you all out, or have you got some others you want to mention?
Back on the men's side. I've got a few more actually.
I've got too many to choose.
Kyle Edmund v Bublik. They're not two like beasts, but Edmund we know can absolutely rip a forehand. He's pretty explosive, and then Bublik's known for a few trick shots.
Yeah.
So it might just be one for the eye to look out for there. And then also Karlovic Gasquet, battle of the old timers.
Yeah,
that'll be a decent one as well.
Yeah, there's so many matches that we probably won't even see here because they won't be chosen for TV. But like, I would go and watch them if I had a ground pass or something.
Yeah.
And Edmund and Bublik is 100% one of those. That'll be very entertaining.
Yeah.
Bit of an awkward one to go into because you pretty much know that you're not making it past round 2, but because the winner plays Novak.
Yeah.
But I guess there's like 70k on the line or something difference between round 1 and round 2 prize money and bit of some ranking points and some pride, and who knows if Novak gets an injury all of a sudden, could be on a bit of a run in the Grand Slam. But excited for that one, Brownie.
A personal one that I would go watch if I was there. It's more personal choice is Mackenzie McDonald against Casper Ruud. I don't know, they're just grinders. Ruud is a clay courter, and McDonald. He has the home court advantage being American. I don't actually know I think Ruud would be the favorite, but like it's up in the air. It could go either way, and I just think that would be a good one to watch. Good grinding tennis, in my opinion.
That'll be a good one. And then the winner plays Ruusuvuori as well. So
yes,
that's a good
who's been playing well this week. Yeah. In the women's side, the first thing that I noticed that I wanted to see was Kim Clijsters. Who's playing?
She's been dogged with all her draws. She's copped a seed in every single tournament she's entered.
I have no idea, but she's just an absolute wild card. Like you wouldn't have the first clue how what ranking equivalent she is or how good she's playing or what anything. So it's just exciting to see how she performs.
Yeah,
I mean, who's she playing?
Alexandrova, the seed
21st. So it'll be tough for her to win, but as you said,
not impossible, but it's just impossible. It's impossible to call that, but it'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, there's once again, I keep saying this, but there's so many to choose from. Another now because I'm looking at that section of the draw. I'll go Leylah Fernandez versus Vera Zvonareva, two people at opposite ends of their career. Winner will probably play Sofia Kenin in the second round, but Fernandez, for those who don't know, I think she's 16 or might be 17. Canadian youngster. She kind of burst onto the scene this year. And I think she beat Belinda Bencic in the Fed Cup in March. And then she's beaten Sloane Stephens in her last two tournaments both times. So she's got serious quality about her. And I think she qualified to a tournament last week and made it to the second round of quarterfinals as well. So she's got some pedigree. And then it's Vera Zvonareva. She used to be like a top 10 player. I think she... well, there we go. I don't think she's been good for about 10 years, but I think she's been grinding. She's in the main card. Yeah, she's in the main card, so might be able to spring something. I'll say a couple more. We'll let you have another crack at it, but another one I like, another seed that I reckon will actually come into this is the underdog. I don't know how to say it because there's a soccer player called Piatek, and it's Piontek. So it could be Swiatek or it could be Swiatek, but she's a Polish youngster. Iga is her first name. She's 19, and I think if it wasn't for lockdown, she would have burst onto the scene this year and maybe been like a seed by the US Open time. So I think she's someone who, another person like Corey Goff, who their rating doesn't suggest their quality, and she's up against Kurmatova, seed 29 from Russia, and I think. We'll talk about it once again. I keep saying this, but we'll talk about it later for one of the later categories. But I think Swiatek could win this one and then maybe trouble a few others as well. Pilch, we're just going round and round. It's tag.
Oh, no, I'm all out.
Too many.
I'm all out.
All right. Brownie, any last ones you want to mention?
I've got a couple more. I'll just mention them. I don't need to go into detail, but I've got Yannick Sinner and Karen Khachanov.
Yeah, that's actually. I think that's number one for me.
Very much interested me. And then
so good.
Francis Tiafoe and Andreas Seppi interested me as well. Neither of them are seeded, but just both kind of been mainstays of the tour for a while now. And then on the women's side, I've got Angelique Kerber and Aya Tomljanovic.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Tomljanovic was in good form at the start of the season, like solid enough, and Kerber's one who can go deep in slams, but also loses in the first round quite often. So could definitely be a potential upset there for the Australian, for sure.
Yeah, this is hard to just run through and pick them, but in the women's, Annette Kontaveit and Danielle Collins. I know Collins' claim to fame is really just one tournament the other year at the Oz Open, but she smacks the ball, and Kontaveit is a big hitter as well. And she's probably, if you had to award a player of the year at this point in the women's or most improved, she would probably be up for both those awards. Every tournament she's played in, she's had a pretty good crack at it. I think she might have even made the quarters of the Oz Open. I don't know how deep she actually got. So that'll be a hard-hitting one to watch. Madison Keys, Timea Babos, same thing, very hard-hitting. Donna Vekic versus Kristina Pliskova. Yeah. Vekic will be the favourite going into that, but Pliskova, similar to her sister, their play style troubles a lot of the women, just with the power game and all that. And then on the men's, there's so many to choose from. Actually, next to your game of Tiafoe and Seppi, Millman and Basilashvili. Basilashvili is the seed 22, but Millman, that's definitely a game he could win. We've mentioned all those. And then up the top, Lajovic Gerasimov, that's no one would talk about that game. But I think in the first 2 months, Igor Gerasimov was one of the most informed players, like outside that top 50. He was doing pretty well. I think he made the third round of the Oz Open maybe, and he made the final of one of the weaker 250s.
Yeah.
And then I'll wrap us off with actually two more. Filip Krajinovic and Mikhail Ymer. That would be pretty good. I think Krajinovic, he lost to Milos the other day in a 3-setter, but he went pretty deep in that tournament. And then Ymer, I think he beat Kachanov, or he lost to Kachanov in 5 sets in the Oz Open. And then finally, Mannarino and Sonego. Sonego, pretty decent player. We saw him play like 3 years ago, but he's pretty handy. And Mannarino, he's a seed, but he's not really
worst
a seed.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, like he doesn't really have that intimidation that normally a seed does. So I think Sonego could easily win that one as well. So that's like, there's a lot of rubbish I've just mentioned there, but they're the kind of games I would watch if I had the choice.
I've noticed that section of the draw specifically has all of these seeds who are like mythical seeds.
Yeah,
it has
Garin.
Lajovic, Coric,
How is Garin?
Hurkacz, Mannarino.
The bloody South American swing.
Yeah,
Garin's
dominated.
Seed 13.
Yeah, he dominated South American swing in February.
Oh, that's rancid. All right.
It's a miracle. Oh yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable. Balotelli, Aguero. Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.